So we welcome to the Food and Drink Show, Allegra Mcevedy. Good evening to you.
And good evening to you, Mark.
Thanks very much for joining us on the show. It's great to have you on here. You must be one of the world's busiest people at the moment.
It suits me being busy, and the devil makes work and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. You've been cooking professionally for 20 years, and you've been called a caterer with a conscience. Where's that come from?
Yeah, where that came from was that when I first came out of catering school, one thing that they really pushed you into, so this was kind of early 90s, was the best way for a chef to make a difference was by getting Michelin stars or working in a big posh hotel restaurant. And none of those things really appealed to me. So even though I kind of went through the motions of working in those kind of grandiose places, I sort of had a bit of an epiphany in my kind of mid-20s of actually what I really wanted to do was to make good food better for everybody. So I went and opened a restaurant in a community centre where we did a 2-course lunch for £4 every day of the year.
Awesome.
And that was the beginning of what shaped the kind of cook that I am. So I then went on to do economy gastronomy and open these restaurants called Leon that do healthy fast food. So really it was about being inclusive rather than exclusive. I didn't want to provide very good food to a small amount of very rich people. I want to provide good food to anybody.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Everybody seems to have a bit of a niche, a bit of a, there is one part of working within the food industry that excites them the most, or they become known for example. I mean, you can talk about the obvious ones like...
Hugh and the Chickens, how about that?
Yeah, Hugh and the Chickens, or the Fat Duck.
Yeah, Heston,
all of that. Is there an area that you would say that you're the most excited about?
Well, I think it's things that I'm most known for, and I think that's probably is a reflection of what I'm most excited about. I mean, I love this, the freshness of Middle Eastern cookery, the healthiness of it. This is partly why this Turkey series really makes sense for me, because it's going back to things that have, Turkey was really the first place I went to. I travelled a lot as a child because I had a historian father who dragged me and my sister around all the outposts of the Roman Empire by the time we were about 14. Yeah. It was amazing, a real adventure. But Turkey, was one of the places and I think I was about 12, and I was like, wow, at the food, and it just really has stayed with me ever since. So all around that, from the whole of that side of the Mediterranean, from Turkey, really starts with Turkey once you cross the Bosphorus and goes all the way around kind of Lebanon and Syria and all the way around to Morocco. That's really what I love. That'd be my spiritual home.
Yeah. Fantastic. Tell us a bit about the programme, because it's a new series, isn't it, that's going to be shown on Good Food.
That's right. It's about me exploring Turkey, which is great because people don't really know that much about Turkish food. They know about Greek food, they know about the calamari and the kebabs and sort of thing, and they know about a bit about the Middle Eastern. And there's this huge country called Turkey that sits between those two, and it's got an incredibly strong food culture, delicious ingredients, delicious produce, lots of sunshine to make great ingredients, and a very strong matriarch-driven food culture. And really, it was time to put Turkey on the map culinarily. And luckily, I got asked to do it, which is a good fit, I felt.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And presumably that means that you've had to spend, sadly, a lot of time there.
Well, I mean, I've been to Turkey. I mean, like I said, it got under my skin young. So I've been there about sort of 4 or 5 times anyway. But to film this, we went to bits that I knew and bits that I didn't know and bits that I had absolutely no idea existed. Like we went and visited these enormous lakes in the middle that are so beautiful. And like I said, I've been to Turkey like 4 or 5 times. I didn't even know they were there. They're huge and beautiful. And the most incredible carp that are inside them.
Wow.
And one of the most amazing dishes we had was a whole roast carp. If you could see how far apart my hands were, you'd know how big it was. It was enormous, probably about 1.5 feet long. I have to watch the show because it's in that one. And it was stuffed with, its own eggs and some bulgur and lots of fresh mint, and then roasted. So the carp skin, because carp's kind of the same family as goldfish, so the carp skin went the most amazing, crispy gold. It was like fish crackling, if you can imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was really special.
Fish crackling, that's superb. And what's the flavour of carp like? Can you liken it to anything?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a bit like sea bass in that it's one of those fish that goes along and kind of eats. It's not very discriminate about what it eats. Let's put it like that. Yeah. Which is why in this country, carp has quite a. It doesn't have a reputation as being a fish that we eat very much because our waters aren't clear enough and aren't clean enough, so that if it just goes along with its mouth open going nosh nosh nosh, what it's going to. You are what you eat, isn't it? And so So, our carp tastes a bit like, the bottom of our not very clean rivers and stuff and lakes. There, they are crystal clear. I mean, you can see to the bottom, tens of feet down. And so really, they're going around, they're having a very nice diet. And when you eat them, you can taste that. They just taste, they've got big flakes of white fish, sort of with a good bite to them. They're not very, it's got a touch of the monkfish, but it's more along the lines of a cod.
And was that the biggest surprise of the series for you?
It was the biggest fish of the series, that's for sure. I think, that was certainly one of them. I mean, I think the biggest surprise for people who aren't that familiar with Turkish food was generally what's known here. You say Turkish food, and people go kebabs and meatballs, kufta and kebabs, don't they? They sort of think about the drunken stumble on the way back from the pub. And what's really is the revelation is they have so many fantastic vegetable dishes. They do incredibly creative things with vegetables and have been doing for centuries. There's a real heritage to and pride to their cookery. And the same with their sweets. Amazing. I mean, I don't really have much of a sweet tooth, but my goodness, they're fantastic with pastry. That kind of phyllo and the layers and the honeys and the rose waters and the pistachios and really delicious pastries.
Yeah, I was reading up in the bio of the show, and chilies is mentioned. And I don't know why, maybe it should be, but that's not something I necessarily connected with Turkey.
Well, I mean, the thing about Turkey is it is enormous. You kind of don't really know how. We forget how big it is. It's on 3 different sea fronts. It's on the Aegean, the Mediterranean, and on the north on the Black Sea. And so, on the western side, it is Mediterranean. And you've got the tomatoes, you've got the olives, you've got the grilled fish, you've got basically a culinary a menu that doesn't read dissimilar to Greek, but obviously with Turkish influences. But then on the far side, on the right side, you're bordering on Syria and Iran and all those, those kind of countries are over there. And, and there is that hot stuff. There is the chilies. I mean, there was this amazing bit in the market in Istanbul where I'm a sucker for those kind of markets. Like, most women go mad in Jimmy Choo. I go mad in the spice market in Istanbul. And, I mean, I tasted about 12 different kinds of chili flakes. And by the end, my head was, absolutely popping off. But each one had a very different flavour. So, yeah, lots of chili in their food.
Great stuff. Absolute pleasure to talk to you.
Lovely talking to you too, Mark. Take care.
Thanks for your time. Take
Bye.
care. Bye-bye.